Hi, we're here today. We're going to make YES media, with the YES standing for yeast extract and supplement media. We're going to start out, this recipe today is going to make 4 liters. So we've grabbed a big 4-liter Erlenmeyer flask, slightly smaller 2-liter Erlenmeyer flask, and then 4 2-liter Erlenmeyer flasks, which will be the final flasks that we split the 4 liters liquid into before they go in the autoclave. We're going to start out adding our supplements for the YES media into the smaller flask, which is going to have heat applied to it. It's going to help dissolve those supplements. Whereas the larger flask, we're going to add our dextrose and yeast extract, and we do not apply heat to this, but we are going to stir it so it all dissolves. So in the larger flask, we've added 3.6 liters of distilled water, and in the smaller flask, we've added 400 milliliters of distilled H2O. And we are also going to add stir bars to each of these flasks. Alright, so we're going to get going, add a little heat to the smaller flask. We do not need this to boil, we just need it to get a little warm in order to help these supplements dissolve. Do not need to bring it to a boil. Alright, so what we've done here is pre-weighed out 1 gram each of our supplements. So I'm going to start by adding 1 gram of our adenine, and we've weighed these all out in their own individual weigh boats using their own individual scopulas. So here's our 1 gram of adenine. As I add this through the funnel, you'll notice that some of the adenine and the other supplements are going to stick to the funnel. That's okay, because toward the end I'm going to move this funnel over and pour this liquid through it, so anything that gets stuck will end up all the way into our final product. I'm also going to add 1 gram of uracil, again with its own weigh boat and own scopula. One gram of histidine. Finally, I'm going to weigh out 1 gram of leucine. Again, using its own weigh boat and its own scopula. Always remember to zero out your balance. As I weigh this, I know I want 1 gram, but because there's always a little bit of residue left in the weigh boat, particularly with this very fine powder that tends to react to static very easily, I'm going to go a little bit over 1 gram, probably weigh out about 1.05 grams. Alright, and I'm at that point. I'm going to add our 1 gram of leucine. Alright, now while we let the heat come up on this and let these supplements dissolve, we'll move on to our big flask here. And like I said, no heat on this one, but we are going to set that stir bar up pretty high because we've got a lot of material to dissolve in there. And like I said, I'm going to move this funnel over, get as much of that in there as I can. And I'm now going to add 120 grams of dextrose. Now we want this to dissolve completely in our 3.6 liters of DI water. I'm going to add this relatively slowly, because if I add it all at once, it tends to collect in the edges of the flask at the bottom and not dissolve very well. Now once in a while, you'll get a chunk that'll clog up your funnel. That's okay. Again, it has its own weighboat and its own scoopula. We'll just encourage that to fall down there. You want to add this, you'll see a cloud of dextrose form. And once you start to see it clear up, go ahead and add a little more. Alright, once you've added all your dextrose and you see that it's mostly dissolved, you can move on and add 20 grams of yeast extract. Now this might be a little more difficult to dissolve in the water. What you'll see is that it'll tend to collect in the funnel. But if you're patient and persistent, and gradually adjust the speed on your stir bar, it will eventually all dissolve. All right, we're going to let that spin for a little bit until it's all dissolved. We're going to continue to let this stir and heat until it's completely dissolved. And while they're doing that, we're going to fill our other flasks here with the agar. We're making plates today, so we're going to add agar to this media. If you are just interested in making liquid media, once we combine these two liquids and autoclave them, you would be finished. But since today we're going to make plates, we're going to add 20 grams of agar for each liter of liquid media. So we're going to end up splitting this entire 4 liters of liquid media into these 4 flasks. So to 3 of these flasks, we've already added 20 grams of agar to each. I'm going to go ahead and add the final 20 grams to the final flask. Again, with its own weighboat and its own scoopula. We also want to add to each of these flasks stir bar, because eventually these are going to come out of the autoclave and we're going to slowly cool them. And we may want to add some additional components to the media once it's cooled, and that will need to be slowly stirred in, and these stir bars will help facilitate that. Alright, so it looks like our supplements have fully dissolved and are gently heated. And it looks like our dextrose and yeast extract have mostly dissolved. Once we add this to the larger portion, it will help fully dissolve everything. So using the funnel from before, I'm going to go ahead and pour our dissolved supplements, and as I do that, it will help clear out anything still left in the funnel. I also want to be careful to slowly do this and avoid pouring my extra stir bar into this flask. So I'm just gently turning the funnel and making sure all that extra residue is poured through. So at this point, if you were simply making liquid YES media, you would divide this into your media jars, autoclave them, and you'd be good to go. But like I said, we're making plates today, so we're going to split this into these 4 flasks, to which we've added 20 grams of agar. And we've added the agar to the bottom of these flasks because if we directly added it to this media here, it tends to form chunks and not uniformly dissolve. So I've added the agar to the bottom. I tend to gently stir so that the agar is uniformly distributed on the bottom. I'm now going to pour 1 liter into each. Of course, I'm using the markings on the side of the flasks to help me determine the correct amount. Careful again not to let that stir bar pour out. Alright, so finally, before I put these into the autoclave, I like to swish that liquid around and make sure that agar starts to be evenly distributed so that we don't get any strange chunks. Finally, I take a square of aluminum foil, place it securely on the top. Now these are ready to be put into an autoclave on the liquid 15 or liquid 20 cycle, and they'll be ready in about an hour.